Welcome back, everybody. So my next movie review for you is Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. So Transformers Revenge of the Fallen was released on the 24th of June 2009. It was once again directed by Michael Bay. It was made on a budget of 200 million US dollars and made a whopping 836.3 million US dollars. Cast in this movie, in the second installment, once again we see Shia LaBeouf return as Sam Witwicky. We've also got Megan Fox, we got Roman Rodriguez, we got Josh Duhamel, I think that's how we say his name, I'm not 100% sure, plus many others. We get to see other people returning for the voices of the Transformers, as in Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime. We've also got Hugo Weaving again playing the voice for Megatron in the second installment again. So in this second installment, Sam basically leaves the Transformers basically to try and lead a bit of a normal life. He's going off to college, but unfortunately the Transformers war still is raging on, and to be fair, the humans have teamed up with the Transformers to come up with this kind of special forces unit called Nest, who basically hunt down the Decepticons, basically destroy them, get to find out or try and find out any of their new plans to try and take over the world. Then we see an ancient Transformer in the form of the Fallen basically come to Earth and has a big scheme to basically take over the world and use it as a big energon source so the Transformers can have their new planet. And that is essentially the whole of the storyline. There are little bits going on in this movie. So what do I honestly think about this movie? See, I do not hate this movie in any way, shape or form. It's a sequel to the first Transformers film. I will always love the first Transformers film over any of the others. This isn't a bad sequel. I actually enjoy this as a sequel. There is one thing in this movie which I severely dislike, which I'll get into in a moment, but 96% of this movie is still quite enjoyable. It has, again, a kind of adventure feel to it. They're going on this quest. It's something different than what we got from the first one. They're discovering different things. Obviously, there's still parts of the Allspark left that imprints something into Sam's brain, which is a key to something. I'm not going to give too much away just in case you haven't seen it, but if you have seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's got this very adventure-y kind of feel to this, and they basically travel pretty much to different, well, it's got that kind of, I don't want to say treasure hunt, but that kind of like, they're finding certain clues to find out where they need to go next, to the point of where something is, which I'm not going to talk about in case you haven't seen it, because I don't want to spoil it for you. But that's the kind of feel that you get from this second installment. Action-wise in this, there are some pretty good fight scenes. Now, knowing that this is majority done by CGI, okay, I get it. You know, this, you can't do a movie like this without CGI. It's as simple as that. The fact is that I actually still enjoyed the CGI work in here. It wasn't overcomplicated where there was too much going on and you struggled to actually follow it. There is a great fight scene in a forest between Optimus Prime and some of the Decepticons. I think that's absolutely badass, that scene. There's a great warehouse scene where you get to see two of the Transformers, Bumblebee and Optimus Prime, storm through. I generally like that sequence as well. Even to the end action fight sequence into it, it's different from what we had in the first one, but it's still enjoyable to watch. It's not overdone or overcomplicated. There's not heavily coloured, if that makes sense. Now, there is a movie that I watched which is heavily reliant on CGI, but they put in so much colouring in it. It's Aquaman, basically. They put so much colouring in it, I struggled to see what was going on. You don't get that in this. It's got this very kind of, obviously it's mainly set in the desert, so it's got this kind of yellowy kind of tone to this. It's not overdone colouring, so it doesn't make it difficult for you to for you to understand or see what's going on. I generally like it. Plot in this movie, like I said, I pretty much gave away a majority of the plot. There are some other little plot lines going on in this movie, which I'm not going to talk about as such because I could just once again, it's just in case you haven't seen it. But it is a little bit predictable in certain places. It is a very predictable movie. I have to be honest with you. Um, you can pretty much see the way that this is going pretty quickly. I'm not saying it's a bad thing because then you can just focus on like the Transformers, which is essentially what you're watching this for. So at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be a heavily complicated plot. There is a couple of subplot lines going on in this movie, but they're not too complicated, to be honest with you. And in a way, like I said, it's not a complicated storyline, so you can focus on the kind of the action, the visuals, and all that. And like I said, with a movie like this, it is reliant on CGI, special effects, all that kind of scenario. So having a complicated plot in there or something which is hard to follow, or you trying to figure out what's going on in this, it would probably make it a bit more difficult for you to watch because you've got two conflicting things. It's like you want to watch the action, but yet you're still trying to figure out what's going on with the plot at the same time. Like I said, it's not a complicated plot in this movie. Like I said, performances in this movie, Shia LaBeouf's performance in here is pretty much exactly the same as what we got in the first one. He's just a little bit more mature. He's at college now, so it's slightly different, but he still carries the same tones as what he had in the first one. I do like Shia LaBeouf as an actor in some of his roles. I like him in Transformers, or I wouldn't watch it, to be fair. But the performance in here is pretty much the same as what we got in the first one. If I was to be honest, and it's exactly the same as Megan Fox. I wouldn't really expect anything different. We do get introduced to some new characters in here. We get to see the return of Simmons as well, which is the comedic element. That and Roman Rodriguez's character in here, those two characters, not his character, that's his actual name, but I can't remember his actual character name, but those two are like kind of the comedic kind of element in this movie, which is not overdone. I have to be honest with you, I was always, with later Transformers movie, there is a comedic element which I think is just, it's overdone in certain areas. In this one, you've got exactly the same kind of level as what you got in the first one, but it never just spoilt the tone of the movie as such, because essentially this is about two lots of robots, good and evil robots, battling it out because that's what they've got to do. This is, Autobots are trying to save the world, Decepticons are trying to take over the world. So there is a serious tone there. There will be casualties, as in human casualties in this. And like I said, the comedic element doesn't overpower that. It's just, in my opinion, just the right level. Now, the one part of this movie which I dislike, which puts a severely big dampener on it for me, and this is my own personal opinion. I'm not saying this is everybody's opinion, but this is my own personal opinion. I was very much enjoying this movie until a prime set, like prime order, or like a load of primes basically brought a human back to life. Okay. Realistically, I know why they put this in this movie. I get it. But I was very much enjoying that movie until that point. Okay, the bit after that I actually enjoyed, to be fair. It's just that just that moment in this movie is what put a big dampener on it, is the fact that somehow some ancient mystical kind of robots or primes can bring or give back a human his life. It's probably one of the worst parts of it, but I get why they put it in there. I do. They added a little bit more tension, a little bit more suspense to that part of the movie. Obviously, we know what's coming, so they had to try and put like a little bit of a hurdle in the way, but to kill him off and then bring him back, I just can't see that being. It just wasn't for me. It's my own personal opinion. I just don't think that little bit worked in that movie. I have to be honest with you. I really, really have to be honest with you. It's something that I dislike. It's the only thing I really dislike in this movie, to be fair, is that scene. Is the fact they brought him back. Now, they could have either just kept it or just not done it and just let them carry on running. I get what they did. I get why they did it. I just bringing him back from the dead. I was just a bit like, yeah, okay, a little bit too much there for me because I just don't know. It just didn't feel right. I think they could have done that in a different kind of way, and that's just my own personal opinion, honestly. Optimus Prime in this movie, I actually generally do like, even though you don't get to see a huge amount of him, or he's missing through half of this movie. Okay, you get to see him at the beginning, and then he gets killed, which is, I'll just give it away, a big spoiler there. And then he comes back. But when he does come back, that's a massive, great big spoiler there, to be fair for you. I do apologise, it just slipped out. But when he does come back, he does turn into this really badass. He comes back as a badass, which is a trend that you see through the Transformers movies. I'm not going to lie, especially in probably the next one, and in the next one after that, and the next one after that. You know, I know why they're doing it, but this is Optimus Prime. He's a badass. He should be a badass anyway, but I did generally like his character, even though you don't get to see him hugely. But towards the end, that end sequence, I actually enjoyed it. He comes back and kicks some serious Decepticon ass. It's as simple as that, and it's just an enjoyable watch, just that part of it. If I was to rate this movie, I do. I know there's some things there which you said that makes it look like or sound like I'm not a huge fan of this movie. I actually am a fan of this movie. It's just that I am very much a person who will always love the first movie over the sequel. And I've said this before. The reason why this is the first Transformers movie for me was something fresh. It wasn't new because we had it in the cartoons, but as in a live action movie, something fresh. It was new, and to see all of them transform, it was just like that. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Once you get to a sequel, you've seen all that already, so the surprise of that is gone. So it is heavily reliant then on the storyline and the action sequences in here. Now, the action sequences are not bad in any way, shape, or form. I just don't enjoy them, as much as the first one. It's just the way it is. You know, there's very, very few sequels that will actually beat the originals. So if it sounds like I hate this movie, I don't. I don't hate this movie in any way, shape, or form. It's just I enjoy the first one more than I enjoy the sequels. It's as simple as that. And I enjoy the first two more than I enjoy the last two, which will be reviews for later days. So if I was to rate this, I would give this a 6 out of 10. And the only reason why I'm giving it a 6 out of 10 is because, like I just said, a sequel will never beat the first one for me. And that little bit of the plot, which kind of put a massive dampener on me, where the Primes brought Sam back to life. I just think they could have done something very different now, or they could have tried to do something different now. It's just my own personal opinion. I'm not saying it's bad. I just didn't enjoy that part of that movie. I think it was going really well until that part, and then it kind of picked up again towards the end. It's as simple as that. So, on that note, please tell me what you think. Put it in the comments down below as normal. I hope you all have a great rest of the day, whatever you're doing. Please take care, and goodbye. Okay, then, 5 facts about Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Now, there was quite a few facts about the Revenge of the Fallen, and once again, I just chose 5. So, in the first Transformers movie, there was 14 robots. In this one, in the second installment, there was 46. Fact number 2, Devastator is as tall as 10-story buildings, which is quite big. I'm not gonna lie, pretty damn big. Number 3, Sheila Booth seriously injured his hand during production of this movie. He never said exactly what he did. I'm sure I could probably have found that out, but apparently he severely injured his hand. Number 4. Shia LaBeouf apparently hated this movie when it got released as well. Apparently, I was reading a little bit of the article of what he was basically saying. It's like, yeah, it's not exactly an amazing movie, to be fair. And this is a movie he is the star actor. He is the lead, one of the lead actors in this, and he said he didn't particularly enjoy it. So there you go. Don't really know what else to say about that. There was quite a big article towards it. Number 5, Hugo Weaving, who does the voice for Megatron, has never, and wait for it, ever seen a Transformers movie. Ever. And he has never met Michael Bay in person. Ever. So the main baddie, or the voice of the baddie, Megatron, in that movie, Hugo Weaving, has never once watched Transformers. Ever. It's amazing. Not even once. Not even the first one. Again, there was a whacking great big article on that one, which I could have wrote down and just mentioned why, which I might start doing a little bit later on in these kind of fun facts. But there was quite a few fun facts. I had to choose the smallest ones out of them all. But I actually thought they were pretty cool. I kind of guessed that Shia LaBeouf didn't like the movie anyway. He kind of went into that kind of destruction kind of time bomb after this movie, apparently. So I was reading on that, and I can also probably guess that Hugo Weaving probably haven't seen this movie either, or any of the Transformers movies, and the fact I never knew that he'd never met the director in person. That's pretty insane, to be fair. It's the fact that there is somebody working on your film, or an actor, or doing a voice for a film, and you've never actually physically met the director. But then again, I suppose they don't need to be on set because they're just providing the voice. So I get it. So on that note, I hope you all have a great rest of the day, whatever you're doing. Please take care, and goodbye.